Come on and Zoom. Come on and Zoom. Come on and Zoom. I miss that show. I mean, every time I talk to someone who's like over 50 and I like reference that, they go, "You know Zoom?" I'm like, "Yeah, there's a remake in the 90s, very late 90s, early 2000s. That's what I grew up with." And they're like, "Oh, really?" But now everyone's on Zoom because of coronavirus. And me sitting outside. Oh, I forgot to change my virtual background. You guys like that? Wait. Ah, there it is. Those of you who are fans of Graham Parker, you will get the joke. You'll also get this joke if, you are familiar at my work, or if you're my gastroenterologist. It'll mean the same thing to you either way. I ought to actually change it. Let me see. Virtual background. Do I need another one? Actually, I'll just do none. I'm sitting out here. This is what the outside of my place looks like. What I really want to talk about, though, is something greater than just my situation. I want to talk about having a side hustle as a working artist or a writer, and how those two worlds kind of intersect. The working world of the side hustle you have, and the world of your true self, your true passion as an artist or a writer. So when I was working at the school, I would often get asked by colleagues if I do anything outside of working at the school, and I would tell them the truth. I would say I'm a writer and a filmmaker, and that I'm making a TV pilot. Well, I was making it at the time. Now it's already made. And they would usually be like, "Oh yeah, that's really cool. That's cool." But something inside me, and please tell me in the comments if you feel the same way. If you're in my shoes and you feel the same way, what I'm about to say right now. Do you feel like the more you talk about your art, sorry, the camera's looking a little bit smudgy and blurry. Does that help? Nah, not really. I don't know. Is it just me? Do you feel like the more you talk about it with other people, like the less true it feels to you? I'll tell you what I mean. Like when I told them the truth and said, "Yeah, I'm a writer. I've had stories published in magazines. I've had some films. They're kind of available on this site, this site, this site, and I'm making this TV show, da da da." And the fact that it's not like when you're not widely known, it almost, I feel like sometimes other people, when I tell them that, and I fear that I may be making myself, I may be gilding the lily when it comes to stuff I've done, like that just by talking about it and bringing it up, "Oh yeah, I do this," that I'm somehow making myself seem more accomplished than I am, like just by saying it. And I mean, I'm not the kind of person who like interjects into every conversation. I'm not like, "Hi, how are you? How's the weather today? Oh, by the way, I wrote this film. I wrote the story." I don't do that. But like the amount of times it's come up in conversation organically, and I've said it, and it's like, I don't know. I feel like the more the more I talk about it with people, like the less it may seem to them like, okay, she's making herself sound like something she's not, and that's something I'm always cognizant of. I'm always worried about that. And another thing I want to bring up, if your side hustle happens to be something more humble, let's say if it's, like working as an after school program teacher, it's a humble job, and it's an extremely important job, and I have respect for people who are in that line of work, because it's really tough. I can tell you this was the most stressful job I have ever had. Working with like 50 kids. Well, my group had 50, but like the whole program had like close to 200. So it's not for the faint of heart. And it's modest pay, and you do some tasks that are mostly, they're very important tasks, like cleaning the place, making sure the kids are fed, things like that. But it's humble work. It's humble work. And the thing is that people who tend to, not everyone, but most people who tend to find themselves in jobs like that usually and I don't want to sound like I'm stereotyping, but I'm absolutely going to. But they're based on truth, right? So no problem. But it's they tend to be from more humble backgrounds. I'm kind of the exception as far as that goes. But anyway, and people who come from more humble socioeconomic backgrounds, and I know I'm casting a wide net over a whole group, but in general, it seems like a lot of them do not really have respect for artists. Like, I'll tell you what I mean. Like, they the type of people who tend to say things like, oh, like film, writing, art, get a real job. Like, that's not a real job. That's just, oh, you must be like, have your parents supporting you all the time. Oh, like, you're just a spoiled rich kid who's majoring in something not legit. Da da da. Like, I'm sorry. It's, I feel like I've definitely heard that from people in white collar positions and from those backgrounds, but I think I hear it a little more with people, who have had more modest beginnings. I'm not even saying it to be mean or rude. It's just, that's the way it is. And the presumption that somebody, that just by being an artist alone, that you must somehow be elite or better than people, it couldn't be farther from the truth. But unfortunately, that is a stereotype that gets thrown around a lot in people um, who are not about that life, not about the artist life. And in general, and I'm not just like going after one group here, folks. I'm really not. Like, when I had my wisdom teeth out, okay, I had my wisdom teeth out. I was at the consultation with the oral surgeon, and a surgeon's a surgeon. They make big bucks. They are definitely at the top of the socioeconomic pyramid. And I'm lying on the table. I got my mouth open. This dude has like half his hand in my mouth, okay? And he's like, so what are you studying in school? Because I was a junior in college at the time. Yeah, I was 21. And I answered him as best as I could with the doctor's fingers in my mouth. I'm studying film and television. Yeah, film and television. And then he sort of paused, stopped what he was doing, and said, all right, okay. It doesn't take a genius to know what his all right, okay meant. All right, kid. All right, you're not saving any lives here. You're not taking people's wisdom teeth out. You're not going to be making big bucks right away, but yeah, that's okay. You're probably not as successful as I am, and your job isn't as worthy as mine is, but that's okay. So believe me, I hear it from the richest end of the spectrum, and I hear it from the poorest end of the spectrum. And I feel like this is one issue that unites both ends. The fact they both think artists are silly and prodigal and waste their parents' money, which it could be true for some, not for me, but for some. But anyway, but even that, and it's like, it's funny because people, I know myself, and I know what I've done, and I know that it was not easy to get to where I am. I know I'm saying to get to where I am as if I'm like, oh, the most famous person. See, this is what I mean. Like, I'm trying to be honest, but it also comes across as pompous, and I'm not trying to. But even to get to where I am, which is, it's okay, I still struggle a lot to get there. I had to raise my own money. I had to work 3 jobs. I had to clean tables. I had to, do all this stuff. And, people make a lot of assumptions when they don't really know. And they might just assume that, just because somebody is an artist, they might be lazy, and, that they look down on regular work. And that's not true. But and I know that I'm not any of those things, but they don't know. And like, I feel the need to like, even if they harbor a thought about me that is not true, like, something about that is going to keep me up at night, and I don't know why. And maybe you guys feel the same way. Tell me in the comments. But it's tough. It really is tough. And I just wish there was not so many misconceptions about this sort of thing. It's getting dark, and I think our takeout order might be here soon. Yay, takeout, yay. So and I think my neighbors don't want to hear this lunatic talking on her patio for too long. But what do you guys think? Drop a comment, like, subscribe, share, but please tell me what you think. if you're an artist or a writer, do you feel that people of other professions look down on you, whether they are um, at the highest point in the career monetary pyramid, or whether they're, come from more modest backgrounds? Do you feel like they treat you as if you are not a serious person, or if you're not an artist, if you're not a writer, and you happen to be someone who maybe feels this way about artists, please tell us why. Tell us your thoughts on the matter. I'd love to hear them. But now I'm gonna go before the sun goes down, and catch you later.